وَيَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. Indeed, we have made the Holy Quran easy for you to understand and remember. Then is there any who shall not receive admonish? Allah says, we have made the Holy Quran easy for you to understand and remember. Then is there any who shall not receive admonish? People say, it will confuse people, it will mislead people. Whom will you believe in? These Muslims or Allah? The Holy Quran repeats several times the reason for its revelation, as it's mentioned in Surah Baqarah, chapter number 2, verse number 242, which says, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ, so that you may understand. A similar message is mentioned in Surah Hijr, chapter number 15, verse number 1, which says, Alif Lam Ra, Tilka Ayatul Kitabi wa Qur'an Mubin, which means Alif Lam Ra, these are the ayahs of the Holy Quran which makes things clear. Muslims say that the revelation of the Holy Quran confuses people. Allah says that it makes things clear. Who will you believe in? These Muslims or Allah? But at the same time, the Holy Quran mentions in Surah Nahl, chapter number 16, verse number 43, and in Surah Anbiya, chapter number 21, verse number 7, which says, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ in kuntum la ta'lamun, which means if you understand it not, ask of those who possess the message. So if there is any difficulty, you have the privilege to ask a person who has information. You can very well go to an alim. What is the meaning of the word alim? It means a person who has ilm. It does not only mean a Maulana who has spent 7 or 14 years in Darul Uloom. Suppose the Holy Quran speaks about science and you have a difficulty in understanding it. Whom will you go to? Would you go to a cobbler or a barber? No. You would go to a scientist, because a scientist is an alim in the field of science. If the Holy Quran mentions about medicine and you have a difficulty in understanding it, who will you go to? Would you go to a Maulana who has spent several years in Darul Uloom? No. You would go to a doctor, because a doctor is an alim in the field of medicine. If the Holy Quran mentions some certain fact and you want to know its Arabic grammar, who will you go to? Would you go to a doctor or a scientist? No. You would go to a Maulana who has spent several years in Darul Uloom, because a Maulana is an alim in the history of the Quran and its Arabic grammar. That means if you have any difficulty, you should ask a person who has information. Ask an alim. Today, if you buy any new equipment, any new gadget, you get an instruction manual with it. Suppose you buy a new DVD player, and along with the DVD player, you get an instruction manual. The instruction manual says that if you want to play the DVD player, insert the DVD and press the play button. And further on it says, don't drop it from a height, it will get damaged. Don't immerse it into water, it will get spoiled. All the do's and don'ts, all the good and bad for the DVD player are mentioned in the instruction manual. The more complicated the machine, the more requirement of an instruction manual. If you allow me to call human beings as machines, then they are the most complicated machines. They are more complicated than the most advanced computers. So don't you think it requires an instruction manual? Yes, the Holy Quran is our last and final instruction manual. It tells you how you should live your life. The do's and don'ts, the good and bad for the human being is mentioned in the Quran. And the very moment you get your instruction manual, you but naturally see to it that you understand it. And if it is in a foreign language, you will probably have it translated, or you will take it to a person who can explain it to you. Therefore, it is compulsory for every Muslim to read the Holy Quran with understanding. There are some Muslims who give an argument by saying that suppose you have a temporary license and you do not know how to drive a car. and you have an accident and you bang off the car. The police will give you a lesser punishment because you do not know how to drive, as compared to a person who knows how to drive and has a permanent license. Similarly, we Muslims shouldn't read the Holy Quran, and then if we commit any sins, Allah will give us a less punishment because we were ignorant. And if any person who knows the Holy Quran and then he commits a sin, Allah will give him a greater punishment. Therefore, we Muslims should be ignorant and do sins. This is what people say. Beautiful logic on the face of it, beautiful logic. The best method for a Dayee to answer to this misconception is by agreeing to it and later prove them wrong. I agree that if there is a person who has a temporary license, the police will give him a lesser punishment as compared to a person who has a permanent license. But if you analyze, the chances of a person having a temporary license to indulge in an accident is 50 times in a year. But the chances of a person having a permanent license is maybe once in a year. And the police will charge the person having a temporary license maybe 1,000 rupees, and the person having a permanent license, he'll charge him 2,000 rupees. But at the end of the year, the person having a permanent license ends up paying 2,000 rupees, while the person having a temporary license ends up paying 50 multiplied by 1,000, that is a 50,000 rupees. There are many Muslims who do Khatm Quran once, twice, 10 times in Ramadan. They will surely get their rewards. But I suggest them, instead of reading the Holy Quran twice in Arabic, it's better to read once along with understanding. You will get multiple times more rewards. Why? Because our beloved Prophet has said, it's mentioned in Ibn Majah, chapter number 16, hadith number 219, which says, if you learn, if you understand one ayah of the Holy Quran, it's better than offering 100 rakahs of salah. And in every rakah, you at least read Surah Fatiha that consists of 7 ayahs. That means in 100 rakah salah, you will at least have 700 ayahs. If you learn, if you understand one ayah of the Holy Quran, it's better than reciting 700 ayahs. That's what our beloved Prophet has said. It's mentioned in Surah Sad, chapter number 38, verse number 29. Allah says, Kitabun anzalnahu ilayk mubarakul liyadabbaru ayatihi wa liyatazakkara ulul albab. Quran is a book which we have revealed to you full of blessings, so that you can meditate on those ayahs, and the men of understanding will receive admonish. There are many Muslims who keep the Quran in the most expensive, most beautiful boxes and then tie it up securely. So, if a person thinks of reading the Holy Quran, he will think 10 times before removing it, because the thought of retying it will discourage him. We have many misconceptions. We say, we shouldn't read the Holy Quran while standing. Don't read the Holy Quran in workplace. Don't touch the Holy Quran